Welcome to the MindBodySpirit.fm guest podcaster series. We're delighted to have leading thinkers, luminaries, and spiritual teachers share their wisdom with us. Today's guest podcaster is Zen teacher, author, and poet Henry Shukman, who explains how meditation brings us unconditional well-being by simply being still and being quiet. Stay with us and enjoy a special guided meditation with Henry at the end of the podcast. Now, here's Henry Shukman.
So I'm Henry Shukman. I've been meditating for over 35 years since I was a young man, basically every day. I've hardly missed a day in all that time. I've also been teaching meditation for about 15 years. And I am really pretty sure and very deeply convinced that it can be perhaps the most profound and helpful and transformative intervention in a lifetime. Well, what is meditation and why is it so effective? And what is it so effective for? Everybody who's not so familiar with meditation, and even those who may be very familiar with it, very commonly, myself included, tend to think of it as a kind of activity that we have to do, like many others, like it's a set of skills that we have to develop. We've kind of got to get good at it. And if we're not good at it, it's a waste of time doing it. And maybe we're not suited for it. And I've come to believe that all of that is basically wrong. That actually meditation is almost the opposite. It's this one thing that we can bring ourselves to in life when we're not doing anything. It's the absence of doing anything that makes meditation the incredibly powerful thing that it is. What we're really doing when we meditate, and yeah, I know this may sound weird and counterintuitive and hard to believe, especially when you've probably done little snippets of meditation here and there, which told you to follow your breath or be aware of your body or whatever. But actually, what it really comes down to is just being you. Now, I don't know how weird that may sound to you, but most of us are so busy in our activities, in doing the things we do, that we don't have any time to just be us, to really just drop not only the external outward activities that we, rightly get caught up in and want to do, and that's great, all our projects, relationships, etc. But also we get caught up in our minds doing all the time, our minds thinking things through, remembering stuff, planning stuff. And sometimes it's not so happy. We worry about the future. We regret the past. What the invitation in meditation is to drop all of that, to drop all the outward stuff and the inward stuff and just stop doing anything. Now, before we think, well, wait a minute, I love what I do. I love my life. I love my mind, and what it does. Fine. But we're not talking about giving that up forever. We're talking about having a break, a pause, a rest, a gap in the day when you're not doing anything. So what happens when we don't do anything? What happens that's so healthy and salutary and beautiful is that we come back to the bare fact, the bare reality, the truth of just being alive. We come back to a fundamental sort of underlying aliveness that's always here, always has been here, the entirety of our lives. This simple fact of being alive has been with us. But most of us kind of never taste it. We're just so busy with all that doing. Now, so that's one thing, okay? But actually, this aliveness, why is it good to taste in with it? Well, you could say right off the bat, it's good because to be alive is the ultimate sort of gift. I mean, it's an infinite gift. Absolutely everything we experience depends on our being alive. So just to notice that we're being given this gift of being able to experience, as a human body, human mind, human heart, we get to experience this life. Now, just that bare fact of receiving that gift, like noticing it and receiving it, that's already good. And when we tap into it, we can feel very grateful for it. But more than that, over time with meditation, of just coming back to this point of rest, we start to discover that in the fabric of this aliveness, there's a great peace, actually. It's like it's something that exists before all the stuff that goes on in our lives. It predates everything that we do. And it's like a background or a context in which all our life activities happen. And that background or context is actually in a state of deep peace. And the more we come back to it, the more we get to taste what some call an unconditional peace. Like it's a peace that is here before all the things we might do to try to make our lives happy. There's actually a peace prior to all of that that's right here, right now, in every moment. So another way of thinking of it is like this, that we engage in all our life activities, broadly speaking, because we want to try to be happier, which is great and wise and sensible. We want to get more well-being through what we do. We try to get what we want and keep at bay what we don't want. And, nothing wrong with that. It makes a lot of sense. But by letting go of all the activities just for a little bit of time each day and coming back to this sort of primordial aliveness, what we start to tap into is a well-being that is actually unconditional. Some call it fundamental well-being. It's a well-being that we can't necessarily know it until we start knowing it. We wouldn't believe it's here until we start actually exploring and finding, oh my gosh, I just had a moment there when I wasn't doing anything, I wasn't thinking, and suddenly this beautiful, strange peace and sense of wellness just showed up. What was that? And now it's gone, but I'm really happy I tasted it. Well, that would be a little flicker, a glimpse of, or an insight into this fundamental well-being. And actually, whatever the methodologies we might hear about with meditation, whatever the tools and skills we might work with in meditation, actually the real journey of meditation is just to come back to this fundamental well-being that we've always had, that is part and parcel of our basic aliveness. Okay, so that's a little overview of the why of meditation. Just a tiny moment on the how. Essentially, what we're doing when we meditate is we're being still. We're awake, right? But we're still. Because most of our waking life we spend moving, doing and moving. Body's not still. In meditation, we're still. And we learn to really enjoy stillness. Stillness can become very rich and beautiful. And the other thing we're doing is being quiet. We're not talking. We're being still and we're being quiet. And those two instruments, those two levers on meditation, they are what open up this space of unconditional well-being that I was talking about. That's actually whatever tools and methods we may be using. Really, they all boil down to is, hey, let's try having a little pocket in the day. Maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes, just a little sort of shelter, a little oasis, a little space that's just for us, when we just unplug, sort of step back from our daily round and are simply still and quiet. And, that's really what this whole journey of meditation is about. It can be truly a wonderful journey, not just of de-stressing, of becoming more peaceful and with more joy and more love, um, but actually a journey of discovery. We can discover stuff about the very nature of our own minds, the very nature of our own sense of self, and how profoundly connected we are with everything else. We can make profound discoveries about what we really are, what our real relationship with the world we find ourselves in actually is, one where we're just not separate from anything. Mind-blowing, beautiful discoveries can come to us, but they all come just through being still, through not doing anything. So it's a great journey, but how do we make the journey? By not going anywhere, by being still. Okay. So thanks for listening. And I think we're gonna have a special meditation session just for you, actually. So yeah, I wish you a very fine rest of your day. So I'd love to lead us all in a meditation right now. I invite you to find your way to a comfortable seated position. You could be reclining on a sofa as well, or on a bed, or on the floor even. But most of us will probably be sitting in a chair. So get yourself comfortable. If you're sitting in a way that your back does not have support, you're sitting either on a stool or away from the back of a chair, I invite you to find a balanced position. And that would mean just checking that your ears are over your shoulders and your shoulders are over your hips. So the first thing we're going to do is arrive here, give ourselves a chance to really land in our seat right where we are now. Just let yourself truly come into the space you're in. Yeah, great. And I want to add that if there's any sort of parts of you that aren't sure they really want to be here, that aren't sure they want to do this, let them know they're welcome. That this is really a welcoming space. All of you is allowed to be here just as you are. There's nothing going to be demanded of us. No way we need to measure up. It's just us, sort of just us being here. And then we're going to start to soften. We want to soften the body. So I invite you to feel your jaw and let it sink a little bit. Let your lower jaw kind of slide forward and down. It won't go far, maybe a millimeter, a 16th of an inch. But see if you can just sense a little softening, slackening in the jaw. A lot of us carry some amount of tension in our jaws. Let the jaw go. Beautiful. Then let your shoulders sink a little bit. Great. And can you let your arms dangle, hang like old ropes? Completely limp. Lovely. And see if you can let your chest be warm and soft. Warm and soft in the rib cage. Maybe a little like melting warm wax. and on down into the body, into the belly. Let the belly also be soft like warm wax. Softening now into the hips. Let them also be warm, loose. And the upper legs, letting them be warm and soft. And the feet resting on the floor, on the ground, also warm and soft. So now the whole body is at rest. Can you feel the whole body almost as if it's being enveloped in a soft cloud or a soft blanket, all wrapping around it of warmth and softness? And you really don't have to do a thing. You're allowed to rest in this softer state. It's actually so good for us. It's so restorative, rejuvenating, and healthy to come into a deeper state of rest. There's nothing you need to do. You can just kind of park that person within us that feels it needs to do stuff. What if right in this very moment, there's just nothing that needs to be fixed? Just right now, here in this moment, nothing needs to be fixed. You get to have a break. You get to come back to just being you. You get to come back to something that you've always been, to what you've always been, just behind the scenes. There's a you've always been. One who loves life, who loves the world, who's kind of innocent, at peace, and playful, joyful, curious about the world, curious about life. You don't have to make anything happen. You might just touch in, just a moment's little touch of a you that you've always been. See if we can simply rest as we are, feeling the body, and hearing the sounds around us, the soundscape. Let yourself just listen. Note what sounds are arising. Are some of them short and some of them long? Are there some sounds that are continuous, kind of like background sounds? Just receive them, listen, without doing anything. In the last minute or so of this meditation, I invite you to really feel that this is a simple place you can always come back to. It's like a shelter from the storm. Really, all it is being still and quiet. I invite you to just taste the taste of stillness. What is it like to be still? And savor the flavor of quietness. What's it like when we are quiet? Ah, lovely. Let's bring a little movement into the body, just rocking gently backwards and forwards. You might kind of wiggle your fingers a bit and your toes, and maybe have a little stretch if that seems like that would feel good. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining me in this meditation. And I invite you actually to consider just any time through your day that you feel you might want to, just sort of hit pause, be quiet, be still, maybe just for a couple of seconds, and then carry on with your day. Just to a little bit keep alive this sense of a place of peace and shelter and well-being that we all have within us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to our guest podcaster, Henry Shukman. If you enjoyed this podcast and are looking for content from other leading teachers and guides, visit us at mindbodyspirit.fm.